by the fire gave the tale of 5 steadfast adventurers as they explore the mysterious isles of Doctor. Join us on the Swordcast Adventures.
Hello, friends. Listen close as I regale you of our last episode of the Swordcast Adventures. After overcoming the viney denizens of the Timber Deep, Amelia, aglow in a radiant rage and injured from battle, stormed off into the forest, alone. I had just brought the young Fey Dragon, Spark, back from an untimely demise. Eldwin had sent Teak off to find our wayward companion, and I soon followed. Filled with doubt and despair, Amelia lamented her perceived weaknesses and inability to protect us. I informed her of the error in her way, in a bid to illuminate her to other ways of thinking. Afterward, we made our way northeastward, moving through the forest, and eventually we found ourselves at a lake's edge, and before us a gargantuan oak tree, magically suspended. After some time, we witnessed 5 giant blue lizards emerge from the canopy, sailing down towards us with riders atop their back. An orcish woman named Rinza Burningsong confronted us. We explained ourselves to Rinza, and we were brought up the tree in quite a spectacular fashion. As we ascended into the branches, we found a city called the Fire-Lit Thicket, and within a tabaxi known as 5 Timbers of the Whispering Mountain, the leader of the Truth on the Wind.
So, you all find yourself now standing in the middle of this beautiful, almost cathedral-like thatched hut in the top of this tree, in this impossible floating just oak. And you see it standing before you now, this obviously battle-hardened tabaxi woman. Right next to her tall, orcish counterpart, the leader of her guard. 5 Timbers of the Whispering Mountain clan has extended a hand to you and welcomes you all to Fire-Lit Thicket. And she looks at you all and goes, "The Edwines are a definite problem. Their reach laps even most of the shores of Dakatur, but with the natural defense we have, they have steered clear, believing this island mostly uninhabited wildlands. But you have all come this far. You have found your way to us. What is it that you seek?"
We're not entirely sure. Everybody points us in your direction. The unicorn pointed us in your direction. We came here seeking answers for what you can tell us.
There's no one else here.
No, it's just the 2 of them.
We
You notice that if you look around, you notice chairs lining the walls, but she is the only one in this building at the moment, as though it may have been cleared recently.
None will say what it is that you will do for us or to us, or how you will work your will through us, but we were told to seek you out.
And you have found me. And you now stand within the protection of Father Oak, who has protected his children from the taint that is slowly infecting the land.
Elwin gave us a name of the thing that corrupts this land.
And you see her look at you for a moment, and you see her lean forward over the basin and goes, yes. Osu Ath von Nimek, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, the father of ice.
The true corruption in this land.
It seems it's our destiny to destroy him and his children.
But what is destiny?
It is the will of the gods and the planet and ourselves intermingling.
Then you believe you are on this path for a reason.
I know that I am. Some of my compatriots have been a little less sure, and they seek knowledge to reassure them or bolster their resolve.
That is good.
They are all powerful warriors, incapable
That is-
adventurers.
This is also good. But I know that you are here for a reason. Father Oak has talked to me. His conduit has let me know that you would be here. And his prophecy of such has come true.
You know of us before we arrived.
No, I do not have the sight as such. But Novir, she does. She has that sight. She has foretold you. She has shown me you coming.
And
Am I right to think Grimtak, Elduin, Amelia, Matolius, and Rain? Was she correct?
She was correct.
Her visions, they never lie.
Who is this Novir?
It is someone who wishes to meet you all. For she believes she has something very important to show you.
Then bring her before us, and we shall see.
I cannot. Instead, I shall bring you before her. Please. And she kind of steps out from behind the basin and walks just to next to you all and goes, please follow me. And you see Rinza walking close behind, but always staying a few steps back. You see this woman hold just absolute authority in this room. You feel that her confidence and her presence is there. You almost see the branches of the tree reaching up to give her purchase every step of the way. As she does. This blue, God, my brain. This green, almost cloak-like piece of fabric flows behind her, neatly tucked underneath her armor. But beneath it you see a tail kind of flit back and forth as she walks past and out the building. We have a ways to go. Please, keep up.
And we follow along.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. As you do, she walks to that very center portal, that hole that seemed to spiral down. She walks to the top of the stairs. She is down this way. And she starts walking. You hear every few steps the click of her spear against the oak. And it makes this beautiful, almost ring like a bell. And she does. She continues down. You lose sight of daylight. But as it becomes dark in this area, as you lose even the sight of the white oaken wood below your feet that has been molded and carved into these beautiful, lavish spiral staircase, you notice a glow emanate from all around, and as it grows bright, you notice small worms peeking out from inside of the underside of the bark that you seem to walk down. These small worms glow with their own luminescence, and they seem to sit in a patch just before and just after the entire group, enough so your footsteps are always seen, so you can always see the way ahead. As you move forward, you start to hear this beautiful symphony of rushing water echoing through this long spiraling path. And she goes, "It is not far now." To all of you, it's felt like a good grip of minutes, 20 or so, walking down step after step after step. You keep going farther and farther. You can only imagine that you're almost at the very base of this tree now. And then sunlight once again. And a doorway sits. And Timber walks out, and you see her shoulders raised back as she... Very good. Very good. You see her walk into the light, and as you all make it down past this, you notice you're in that carved out hollow that you had seen just briefly as you were climbing up the side of the mountain. And this interestingly faces the waterfall. The floor plan is huge. It's about a quarter of the size of the trunk of the tree. Leading to the very front piece, right at the edge, probably no more than 30 feet. No, even less than that. Maybe 15 away from the waterfall itself. At the very far point of this outcropping. But you also notice something else. You notice this beautiful carved stone trough, almost bowl-like piece set right in the middle, right in front of this large opening that spans well up to 6 or 7 stories tall to the very top of it. And again, the sound is almost too much, but it rings and bounces in this beautiful, just almost musical notes to your ears as the sound of the rushing water hits below. You also notice something else. Around this basin, you see this trough, pillows lined out. And you see Timber very lightly step over them and walk past the trough. And she goes to the edge. And as you get closer to the edge, you feel the spray of water. It's cold, but it feels soothing. And as she walks to the very edge of the platform, you see her raise her spear high. And then you see her raise her other hand up and whisper a few words. And as those words just leave her lips, the tip of the spear glows this beautiful, brilliant, almost sunbeam color. And it just erupts in this glow that fills the entire cavern, shines off against the waterfall across from you. And a moment later, is sucked away, and she puts down her spear. It stands there, seemingly waiting for something to happen. Rinza, at attention, stands there as well. Her knowledge of this whole area ground in and well versed. And then you all notice something. A glow. But before the glow, a shadow moves across the water, as though something behind the falls stands. As the shadow becomes a little bit more visible, it seems humanoid, but very large. And then from behind the falls themselves, 2 brilliant blue glows open as the eyes of this thing open wide and stare across at Timber. Then, from out below the crashing falls, 5 almost plum-colored fingers reach out and pierce like jutting bits of stone through the water itself. As it happens, you see them lift up, leaving this wide space, and behind it, this beautiful form of this giantess. Shock white hair tied back in wonderful curls close to her head, garb of just silvers and golds, but followed with this beautiful blue, this almost clear ocean blue tunic that lands down to her feet. And then, as she reaches up and pushes her other hand into the water. She pushes it aside, and her hands glow for just a moment. And the water parts like a veil and stays open, as now the water streams into 2 portions and falls to the side. In front of you stands, roll me a nature check. And also, Eli, could you pass me that black sketchbook behind you? But roll
How's
me
your roll going?
Not well.
7 for rain.
You said nature?
Yes, please.
9.
19.
Ooh.
16.
Amelia got a 5.
7 for rain. Metolius and Grimtuck, in your travels, you've come across a creature like this. This almost looks to be a storm giant. The skin tone, the shock hair, the almost magic that just emanates from her eyes. You notice no pupils. You notice no color other than that brilliant blue. And I finally can show you something I drew before we started this game, and I'm so excited. This is concept art, and I will post this for you all, wonderful listeners. I've been sitting on this for so many years.
What do I know of the nature of storm giants?
Highly magical. I would say with a
19,
you would know that the caste system of giants, storm giants, kind of sit at the top.
but like good.
Generally speaking,
Yeah.
They're the good giants.
they're the good guys.
There's a shape that's
So
too
how
small.
tall are we talking as far
Fucking
as
big.
like
I didn't redraw it.
how big? Like height wise.
Megazord.
They're also the tallest of the giants.
They are the tallest of the giant. I believe we're rocking like
30 feet, I think.
that's gargantuan. So I think it's just a huge creature.
It's a giant creature.
Haha.
Yeah, that computes.
Checks out.
Red.
Yeah.
I cast enlarge on the
Sorry.
Very, very red.
storm giant just to see what happens.
They will become a size bigger.
Yeah, but it goes up exponentially. when
They're
you're that
huge
size.
in their creature size, so they're about 15 to 20 feet, give or take.
Really? Only that? Only 15 to 20?
That's huge. Gargantuan rises up to 30.
I think in the giant, yeah, whatever. There's a size chart.
I thought
in there.
large
I did. I
went
looked
up
at
to
it.
15 for some reason. Whatever.
So let's say 20.
I don't know.
Make it a nice even number.
Still pretty big.
Yeah. And this giantess steps forward to the very edge of this cavern that she sits in, and you notice now it almost looks to be set as her place of living. Large furniture set back far. She seems to have a few other bits and bobs to denote that she resides here. This is her home. And she sits at the edge of the waterfall, cross-legged, and puts a hand out and reaches over to Timber And Timber reaches out and kind of touches the tip of her finger. She limps back. In this loud, booming voice, you hear, "Welcome. Please rest. I have much to talk about with you all. I have seen your arrival. I have seen your journey. And I have things to show you."
We come with news and come with words, but if things are to be believed, then you know why we're here.
And you see Timber kind of turn around as almost presenting this magical force. She goes, "Of course she knows why you're here. She is the Oracle, Novir."
Oh, so okay. I'm like, cool. And I pull out the small mushroom pouch that I was given. And it's like, I think I'm supposed to give these to you.
Novir kind of looks over and goes, "It is true. The spirits of the land wish you to give you a sight, to give you a vision, and these will allow you to not only see, but retain what you see."
So these aren't for you. Is it for us?
These are for the ritual.
Just hold them in my hand then.
Timber walks up to you, and goes, "It is a catalyst. It will be what sparks your sight far beyond normal sight." And she holds out her hand.
I hand her the small mushroom pouch.
"Thank you."
And also, and then this is addressed towards the giantess, reach back into the bag of holding and pull out Father's left eye. I believe you know what this is.
"I do."
And I hold it out to her, palm up.
You see at that moment, you see Timber like look around, and she takes her spear and actually does a 20 hits you, right?
No,
No?
20 does not hit me.
Oh. She tries to swing the end of her spear straight at your hand.
Just pull it right back.
Put it away.
We don't. All right. Can't get rid of this fucking thing.
We should not keep that.
Timber kind of looks at y'all and goes, "I agree. I will be happy to work something out and be able to go over what that is, but to just pull it out." Shut the fuck up.
Kind of my style.
Wow.
Can't just go around whipping it out.
It's better than saying that, but she
Yeah.
says to reveal such a powerful artifact lends to the spying eye of creatures within that monster's employ.
All right. Sorry, I thought it was just like, you know.
Please keep it within.
Yeah, it's going back in the bag. Gotcha.
Keep it secret. Keep it safe.
I once never has shown you what you need to see. I will set up a room that is protected from any outlook, and we will go over what this item truly is. But for now, it must stay away. The Etherwines cannot know of this place. It's the only place that truly fights against them. You see her shaken just for a moment, but kind of brings it back together, and you see her once again go into her kind of almost regal, but more just very confident stance. She looks to you and goes, "Now, thank you. You have brought the catalyst. And now, I will let Novia explain what happens from here." You see her breathe, and the orc kind of walks over and puts a hand on Timber's shoulder. And you see Timber's hand reach up and kind of pat it. And Novia across the way and goes, "You are all here because this is the path life has laid out in front of you. You may not know why. You may not even have in your mind a reason. But life, fate, and the strings that bind us do not work upon reason or thought. They go, they flow, and they wrap us all together in the dance that they wish to create. Very few of us can actually see through this, part the veil, and understand where these strings go. You now know a name. You now have seen a statue or a carving. You now all have even had visions. But you do not know what you face, what it is, what this beast brings to this land is far worse than some tyrannical ruler trying to make the land their own. If we all let Father of Ice have his way, he will use this, the land first, the planet, and he will do what he has done a millennia over, and he will use it, and he will freeze it, and he will leave it a dead husk. In some way, you have all found yourself in front of here, in front of me, for reasons, for gods, for fate itself. Which means my job is to impart knowledge of what you face. A teacher may teach and tell you information and history. I am no teacher. I am a seer, and I wish you to have the sight that I have. Please, through this ritual, I will need you all to sit around this trough.
Take seeing wherever she tells me to.
There's some very nicely maintained and pillows kind of set around it, as though this may be something that happens, or maybe this is kind of a form of counsel they use for this oracle.
Yeah,
I comply.
Yes, I comply.
Rain does too.
Amelia?
Yeah, Amelia will do the same. A little bit more reluctantly probably than the rest, but she will do. She will fall in line.
You see her reach kind of back into what looks to be a very tall, almost maybe 15 feet high shelves. And she does, and she pulls out this beautifully, intricately carved jug. It seems to have runic characters. Does anyone speak giant?
Nope.
It seems to have oddly runic characters carved into it on all sides. And as she pulls it out, you see a flash of something go through each rune in time. One after another, almost like a wave of light flows over it. And she pulls it in front of her. And you see her hold her hand above it and whisper a few words, and a light flashes out from inside the jug. And she goes, "Timber, please place the catalyst within the trough and gather the cups." And Timber does just as she's told, without question. Seemingly she's done this before. As she does, she pulls out this small pouch and kind of sprinkles it into the trough and pulls out these very nicely carved wooden bowls. Then she takes the jug, Novir, and reaches over to stretch just enough to pour out this almost opalescent water from the jug, and it pours into this trough and fills it. You see it kind of mix and turn into this very beautiful crimson wine color as it does. She pulls it back. She goes, "Now, you will not be yourself in the sight. You will not be able to change what you see. These actions have played out hundreds of times for hundreds of different individuals. But what you will be seeing will give you understanding of what is ahead, and if fate has this planned for you, if your God has pointed you to here, and if your luck," she kind of, her glowing eyes look down for just a moment, "has found its way here as well. The Father Oak be praised. Then you must see what you can through this ritual." And she kind of sits back, and Timber scoops a few of this kind of crimson liquid into the bowls. As she does, she walks and passes it to each of you. And Timber looks at you all and goes, "I have done this myself. Novir has done this herself. We have all who fight this fight have had to experience this themselves. Again, you will know things that you are not supposed to know. You will see things that you were not supposed to see. But you will come back with a better grasp on what lies ahead and why we fight. Please, drink this."
Grimtuck will take it, hold up his glass, study them, and say, "We actually did this on the boat right over." And then takes a pull.
She doesn't understand what you mean. So you drink it. You see Grimtuck throw it back, and a moment later, his eyes go pure white, as though they rolled into the back of his head, and he just kind of lightly collapses. The sound of calm breathing echoes from your half-orc companion.
Drink bottoms up.
I tell Spark will be don't go anywhere. We'll be back.
You hear Timber kind of whisper out in Sylvan, "Little dragon, you can stay with me while your friends are on this adventure." And Spark kind of looks at you for a second, Metolius, and then looks at Timber,
It's okay.
and you hear the flutter of his wings as he flaps off and flies across over to Timber's shoulder and climbs up, and she gives it half a claw pops out of her finger and scritches the bottom of Spark's jaw, and a purr kind of echoes out.
I think Metolius would probably be the last one to drink, but
Okay.
because of that, but yeah.
Bottoms up in that sense. Elwyn does the same thing. His eyes seemingly either go white or roll in the back of the head. No light comes out of them, but pure white is left over. And he falls back, almost in a dreamlike state. One after another after another. Is anyone not drinking?
No, I drink.
Amelia would probably be at the very end with Metolius.
Okay. So you see Rain do the same. Drinks it. Drinks the small bowl all the way down. And now you look at Rain's eyes. Girardi, Stark. Are they Stark white?
No, they're stark black.
They're Stark black. Rain's eyes,
Creepy.
almost like clouds across the midnight sky, go stark white. And you see her kind of lightly fall backwards onto this large pillow.
Metolius looks at Amelia and he says, "Kindle the light. Shelter the light. Preserve your own light. Be the light." And he drinks.
And you now, as Metolius drinks and does it while looking at you, see his eyes cloud over the same and go pure white, and he falls back.
After he falls back, Amelia just gives like one last look at Timber and then Novir. And just kind of looks down at the bowl she's holding and lets out this big sigh. And takes it back.
You see Timber kind of walking towards the group. And as you finish the last drop, as your eyes start to cloud over and you lose this consciousness, you see Timber reach down and with absolute compassion, she says, "I'm sorry." Clouds over. And you fall asleep. Now, everyone please bring out your character sheets that I so lovingly sent
I
you.
am gonna have to change gears real quick.
Wait, are you a bard?
I think we're all gonna have to.
Oh no.
For all at home, I have sent all of our wonderful characters a brandy spanking new sheet that they had to fill out little bits and pieces, and we'll go around the table once it comes to that. But I'm going to give you all a little bit of exposition. So, this group has been traveling for about a month or so together. They've all been fighting the good fight as more and more of the Limbic spawn have appeared around the world. Places are being overrun. It is now upon you all. You have now taken up the task of sending the father back to sleep. You've heard that it happened once a long time ago. And you know the basic idea of what to do. One of you have studied greatly, and two of you together have made these interesting devices to hold steady against what you've heard to be the infection that is caused by these creatures. They're odd. You all know them, as you've seen them and fought them yourselves at different occasions. They could be your neighbors, your friends, your family, once they are taken over. Their bodies morph and warp. Teeth grow, eyes double, long claws break through the bones in your hand. Plates grow on their backs. and their sense and consciousness is no longer their own. Instead, slaughter and propagation is all that sits within their mind. You know that each of these creatures has the ability to breathe a noxious gas, and that has seemed to be a catalyst to what has spawned these creatures out of your neighbors and people around you. You have been walking for a long time. You all feel the warm rays of the sun break through the windows of the tavern you stayed in last night, waking you up. You all had got a nice restful sleep. Having come from Caer Doran, it has been days on the road. But now, in Saltshire, a coastal town, you planned last night on chartering a boat to Ba'atar to face the monster himself and nip the bud before it grows. You found respite in a small, sleepy village, a fishing village up on the very northern point of the main island of Dakatur. And after a very restful evening and a equally nice wake up to that, you find yourself getting out of bed, preparing yourselves, and readying for your expedition north. As you all leave your respective rooms and find your ways down to the common area in the tavern for some breakfast and maybe a drink or two before you set out on this journey, I would like you all to tell each other who you are. Let's start with the man on my left.
At first appearance, you would see a somewhat taller, very lavishly dressed tabaxi male with tiger-like features, a very oversized face, oversized head with oversized features. His clothing that adorns him is exquisitely expensive. And this is a man who moves with fluid grace, but also apparently very much loves attire, style, and putting forth an appearance of either wealth or possibly just some type of exuberance. On him he carries more than weapons, an arsenal of instruments. He moves with a very peculiar yet very intentional grace. The long flowing clothes that adorn him look like one would imagine a desert prince or somebody from a faraway distant land. He doesn't wear shoes. He doesn't generally look like someone who would be prone to violence. But he definitely looks like the type of individual who not only tries to captivate the room's attention, but almost demands it.
And what is your name?
My name is... Full name would be Ringing of Bells, but I go by Bells.
Okay. And next to Bells?
You are looking at a middle height for a dwarf. So about 4 feet tall. You were looking at a dwarf that has these long sort of royal purple robes that are only covered over by a large breastplate that has some fairly fine detail. This dwarf has mutton chops and a short cropped brown hair, and looks to be in the sort of the second half of a dwarf's lifespan. This dwarf carries a large tome with him, in addition to what looks to be a very large blunt staff. It is ornate at the top and looks both significant from an arcane perspective and also heavy and blunt.
Anything else?
And what is your name?
Oh yes. This character, my name is Yoreg Duskhand.
And now let's move on to the next person at the table.
So the woman that you would see sitting at your table with you is kind of tall and slender, muscular build, kind of fairly dark skin. She wears a crimson colored tunic with some gold and green accents upon it. She wears brown pants, and her tunic kind of flows down to one side, with these large like green and gold trimmed belts that wrap around her waist. She also has a dark green with gold trimmed kind of scarf that hangs around her neck. She has these bracers on both of her arms that seem to be made out of a thin brass-like material that are weaved together in this intricate form that as they go up her wrist. She has long red hair that is kind of tied back into a bun on the top of the back of her head, on like the crown of her head, but then the back, like the rest of it behind it, kind of seems to fall down almost about shoulder length, and the top half of it that's pulled back seems to almost glow with this faint orange glow, and as she turns, every once in a while you see almost sparks kind of flitter off of it and fall beside her and disappear. She has a face that seems very intent and to the point at almost all times, and her piercing eyes seem to glow with a dull orange. My name is Flair.
Next.
Next to Flair sits a moon elf in the second half of his life. And he's about a little bit short of 6 foot, about $150, with green eyes, olive colored skin, and black hair with a bit of a shock of white in the front, pulled back into a ponytail, and the rest sort of cascades down his back and over his dark green studded leather armor with epaulets and the symbol of his order, a sword set against the moon with a shield in the background, and he looks to be an accomplished swordsman and has a shield by his side. And my name is Wraith Shadebloom.
And the final person at this table.
You see a very proud, very pompous human male. Short black hair, half plate armor, and a glowing mace. He has a shield, and on that shield there's a sun cresting a horizon. Sorry. He has like a flowing red cape off the back, and his name is Arthum Avorius.
Boom. You all sit in midst of this, pretty relaxed tavern scene. Breakfast has been served. You're all just munching together. You know that you have about an hour before your ship leaves that you chartered last night from the small gnomish man named Fizzbottom. And yeah, as you sit around, you've all worked together. Both Yorig and Bells worked together on the odd contraption that you all carry with you. This seemingly breathing apparatus, one that filters out toxins. And they have said with Bells's information that they gathered from their studies and Yorig's ingenuity with technology, especially ones of a slightly more advanced and dwarvish style, these things could actually protect you against the ice blight that the brood releases from themselves. Otherwise, you guys have all been working together for quite a while. You became fast friends, especially with your you hate to say the word quest. That's definitely what you're on. And you're all excited. Some of you haven't really gone around the world, or at least around the islands for yourself. Some of you have explored every corner of this and want to know more. Some of you feel this is your duty. Some of you know this is your duty. And some of you think that you need to point yourself in the direction of the glowing orb in the sky and follow it where it goes. But as breakfast finishes, and the hubbub of normal day in a fishing village happens, you see the catch come in as it crests about 9 in the morning. You see a fisherman in full leather coat come in with a large sack of the fresh catch and gives it over to the bartender, who brings it into the kitchen.
I assume it is cold outside.
It is.
Okay.
Luckily, there's a hearth below that seems to feed hot air into the rooms around. They've been dealing with the cold now for a few years, and they've made sure that there is a bit of warmth in everyone's room. And you all sit, as you know, it's only a moments later, and you are traveling to the destination you believe the final fight, one that you have fought with much longer than you have been a group. And if you were able to do this, you'll be heroes, world renowned. Some of you that doesn't matter, but some of you can't wait. Would anyone like to do anything with their new brandy spanking characters?
Bells would be just generally doing his best to play music for anyone who even seems to be either a captive audience or...
Sure, roll me a perception check.
Perception?
Or, no, performance, sorry. Roll a perception check.
It is a 26.
26?
Performance.
Yeah.
Not necessarily like putting on a rock show.
But yeah, you're strumming along, you're playing your beautiful instrument that you seem to almost hold in higher regard than most anything else on you.
It is a very, very elaborate stringed instrument that I'm sure all of you at this point from our journeys together would know holds a fair amount of magic and has no known counterpart that anybody has seen. It is a one of a kind.
Sweet.
Seemingly, you hear kind of a buzz around. chattering, whispering. And then you see a few stares and looks around you. And then a small child who at first was just like cleaning tables, and that kind of runs up and goes, "Is it true? Are you 5 gonna save us all?"
Oh, most definitely.
But of course.
Wraith does not acknowledge the child and continues reading in his faction text.
Young child, please know, we have every intention of saving the world. Not only because your handsome face lives here, but that is where I keep all of my things.
So you're going to fight the monster?
You're going to have to be more specific. We fight a lot of monsters.
The
Why would you like to join us on our valiant quest?
You see his shoulders like sink down and his eyes go wide. I don't think I can fight monsters.
That is why no one will ever remember your name.
Oh, Jesus.
Wow. We're going to change your name and switch yours to Bells.
Apparently.
Wow. You...
Spoken like a true bard.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I agree. No, I mean 100%. Here. Take some inspiration.
Nice. Yes. First time for everything.
Yeah.
Can't remember the last time inspiration was handed out in this game.
Yeah.
When Elduin did his upside down thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, was that it?
On the ship.
Oh,
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
on the ship and I, yep.
Now try to sell him skooma.
I have wares for sale. Bellis has wares for sale.
Now, after you said that, you see his eyes kind of like, you see his shoulders like kind of slouch. You see tears kind of well up.
No, my friend. Please, understand. Yours is an important life. For when we go off and valiantly die, it'll be up to you to carry the sword. Because you're not strong now doesn't mean you won't be strong tomorrow. Chin up. And I continue to play.
And he kind of looks at you and goes,
Cheerio.
he obviously looks confused and not really knowing how to take that, but okay.
This is a kid, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Straight up, like, child.
Yeah, okay. Got
Don't
it.
worry, young one. I will bring the light of Lathander back to this land.
Excellent. I've heard tales of him. You'd bring the sun back to full brilliance. It hasn't shone over here, at least not in its full glory in years. It's very cold here.
The sun will shine again.
Excellent. He kind of like he perks up at that, and as he does, he kind of like trots off. And do you all need a waiter? I can get you one. Do you need anything else? I'm not a waiter, but I can get you one.
We'd like to pay our tab.
I can do that.
Be
Wait,
quick
I
about
can't
it,
do that.
child.
He runs off and goes. You just hear him like call out to the bartender. The heroes want their tab. And you see this woman in your basic tavern attire, a nice dress with an apron up front. She leans down and kisses the little boy on his head and kind of walks out and goes, "My son wasn't bothering you, was he?
Not at all.
Delightful child.
He does his best. He wishes to help out around here. It helps. It's hard to run this whole place by myself. But you need your tab today here."
I will reach down and just whatever coin that I have on me whatsoever, I'll give it to her.
She kind of looks at you and goes, "No, please, it's on the house."
No, I insist. Where we're going, I don't believe we'll need it. See that the boy gets a good education.
I will. Thank you. And you see her tears well up in her eyes. And she takes the sack of gold and platinum and be safe. Return. Room and board for you is always free from this point on.
It's most generous. Thank you for your hospitality.
Safe travels, everyone. The seas are wild this time of year.
Lathander will light our way.
And she walks off at that point. She continues around. She clears your table and does that. You're left to your devices. By this point, it's about that time you kind of hear this high-pitched whistle go off, and you remember that the small gnome had told you that he would let out basically a whistled call for you all to let you know that the boat was ready. And they were about to set sail whenever you were all on it.
Come, friends. I believe we are late to our own death. And you guys just know this to be Bell's sense of humor. It's just kind of fucked up. But he says it always with a smile.
Hasn't been true yet.
Oh no, but I believe that this will finally be the last great adventure. Or at least just a good story to tell.
We shall see.
Absolutely. Let us walk in history, friends.
Right at the very...
Walk in history, man. That's good.
As you all
That's some
stand up
after
to
school
like
shit right
leave,
there.
Flair, you feel a slight tug on the back of your shirt.
I turn to look to see what it is.
Kill the fire.
Punch the child.
Flare on.
The same little boy is actually standing right behind you and kind of releases your shirt and goes, "Miss, is your hair on fire? I can get you some water if you need it."
Bells is laughing super hard to himself.
No, child, that is fine. This is normal. This is just how I am.
Oh, on fire?
This is fine.
Everything's fine.
Fire runs within the blood of my people.
Oh. Blood runs within the blood of my people. Or fish. Probably fish. Yeah, it's fish. I like fish.
Please, do not hold out for us.
Oh. My arms would get tired. I don't know.
We will do what we can to make sure these lands are safe.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're going to beat the monsters. I know.
We're going to try.
Yeah. You're heroes. That's what you do. That's what I've been told.
Run along, you fish-blooded child. We have things to do.
And before he turns to run, Flair's going to kind of reach down and set her hand on top of his head and say,
"Ooh, you're warm."
We are going to do all we can. Hopefully, after this is all finished, your people's suffering will be ended.
Yes, everyone's. If you beat the monster, then everyone's suffering will end, right?
That
It's
is the
not-
hope.
Oh, I hope so. I know Mom is worried about it. She doesn't like me telling people, but I've got her crying at night.
It's
That's why I'm really hopeful. That's why I want to see you guys succeed. I don't want my mom to cry anymore.
It's not fair that any of you should have to suffer.
Thank you. Okay, you all good luck now. You too, mister. He kind of points over at Jorg.
I will just nod back.
I like your staff. And he runs off. And yeah, you all stand up from your table and start to exit. The air is cold. The smell of salt is on it. The breeze is very pleasant. But again, as he said, it seems still like twilight here, as the sun hasn't risen in full for months, if not years now. And because of that, the world has become colder. Ice is struck all across the ground. as any of the water from the ocean around has frozen from the temperature, and yet, to all rights and knowledge, it's summer. This should not be, even this far north. But the hustle and bustle continues. People keep going about their daily job because they have to, because they must. And you all press forward, because that is what your job is now. And you start moving towards, you move through the residential area, out towards what breaks out of the houses towards the docks. And there you see a few fishing vessels. Unique New York.
Irish wristwatch.
Yeah.
Wessels.
Wessels.
As we walk towards the docks, Flair's just gonna kind of say, "You know, you shouldn't have gotten his hopes up. That's not fair."
Let the child have hope. It's the only thing holding this place afloat right now.
The child and these people suffer enough. If we don't succeed, the suffering's just gonna grow.
Well, I mean, it can only grow so far before everyone dies.
They clearly are relying on us.
The world's relying on us, friend. But don't worry. I'm sure that we'll give them a valiant finish or an amazing story.
We need their suffering to end. That's what we need. That's what this is all about.
Of course. We shall do our best and fight the valiant fight. Mimic and his brood. I've seen you punch clear through a beholder's face and wriggle your hands on the other side. I'm sure you can work Limmick just like the puppet he is. Just right up the back, and then all the way out the front.
My friend, of course, I intend to do every bit of that. But I can't stand to see the suffering in these people's faces any longer. This needs to end.
Reminds me of the suffering of my people 500 years ago when Limmick rose then.
Then this time we need to make sure he doesn't again.
It nearly destroyed my people. It broke their spirits. That's why they left. They returned to Evermeet.
They live on in the archives of Order. In the magical library, they speak highly of them. Know that your people are well written of, and their stories will live on as well. Perhaps someday someone will write of your story.
My order has been well documented for thousands of years. We have defended the realm of elves. Unfortunately, there are only 50 of us now.
Well, come, friend. Let us defend them again.
I hope you're right. I hope we can put it down for good. It is a terrible enemy.
What of you, friend Jorg? You're quiet this morning.
There is too much talk. We must go.
Well, we're walking in the correct direction. Don't be so stuffy, friend.
What is there to talk about? Either we win or we do not.
Exactly. But it's how we die, if we are to die, that we will be remembered for.
We die or we do not. Who will be there to tell our story if we die?
That young boy.
Will
He knows of
not
us.
be there, or he will die.
Oh, that's true enough. Now you
See?
sound like I do.
You talk too much.
Reminds me of our days studying and creating and crafting. Oh, those were amazing times. Just you and I in the laboratory. Oh, the conversations we had.
I'm gonna walk to the other side of the group.
Got it.
You can't hide your affectations for me, friend Yorig.
Ah,
I'll win him over someday.
no you won't.
You continue moving forward, and you see again as the docks rise, you see fishing vessels and other ships. You also notice the skiff that you were going to take. Two tall masts, large sails just wrapped and readied. A crew on it pulling off empty crates and placing on supplies. You see a few others kind of ordering them around, and then a very recognizable gnome stands about 20 feet off the dock, kind of tapping his foot, and you hear this like high-pitched grumbling voice. And you just kind of hear him as he's tapping, and goes, "Where are they? The ship's ready. I need to go if they want to go on such a suicide mission. I need to get my ship out of here and back. Took us long enough to get all the ice off."
How far away is the ship?
The ship's about 50 feet off from you guys, at the end of the dock.
Okay.
Yeah, so the person who owns it is waiting there impatiently, staring at his workers do his thing. Doesn't hear you come up behind him.
Hail and well met, friend.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus.
That's
Who's
what
Jesus?
I'm talking about.
Why do you wait around? The morning wind is high, it's cold, and somehow we have all been beckoned upon this ship.
Because it's not my job to load it up. It's my job to make sure you're on there because you paid for it. So now you're here. God. By gods, what took you so long?
They were talking with the locals.
Well, that was your first mistake.
Agreed.
Seconded.
You know, York, when we're all dead, I will very much miss your sense of humor.
You're all ready, though. You've gained all the supplies you need. I mean, again, I don't know why you wish to go so far and out to Batur. It's a wasteland. It's ice-covered.
Which one is Batur?
The small one, next up to the dock and tour sign.
Okay. The little chunk. The
Well-
triangle-shaped chunk?
Yes, the tooth.
Okay. Got it.
There's rumors that you're heroes. What do heroes need to do up there?
Yours is not to question why, friend.
No, mine is to enjoy counting the coin you put in my hand. I thought I'd make pleasant conversation.
Nothing about this trip is pleasant.
No, my ears have almost fallen off 3 times. Nothing about this area is pleasant either.
I would dare say it's an improvement to your face.
Wait.
Wait.
What's that?
As he kind of turns...
Onward! Right up the fucking
Yeah, I was going to say, well, he turns, and as you walk just past him, he's kind of stunned for a moment as he's trying to make a retort. And you walk past him just a few feet off from the docks, and you all feel a rumble. Odd.
Like on the boat? Or
You're not on the boat. You're still on the
dock.
shore.
So on the shore we feel a rumble.
You feel the ground shake. He kind of stops and goes, "What? What was that? Did you feel that?"
Yes.
It happens again. This time, harder. More furious. As the whole ground shakes. You even see snow fall off of some rooftops.
Flair wants to look around and see if anybody else notices or how anybody else reacts.
Perception.
Everyone quite got to running and screaming and ducking into buildings.
21.
21. Yes. A lot of confusion. You hear a lot of chatter of people kind of questioning if they felt it, if they knew what that was, and just a lot of people looking around. You see one person in the far side back the way you came, kind of stuck under a pile of snow that had fallen off the roof of a building. He's kind of trying to pull himself out.
If I'm close enough, Flair would like to run over and help.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't take you very long. You have quite a decent speed. And as you do, you rush back and you help the poor man. Older gentleman. He seemingly was just leaning up against the building, maybe smoking a pipe on his break. As he did, a large piece of snow crashed down upon him and kind of buried him. And you do, Flair. Do you do anything specific, or you just dig him out?
I like dig him out and then just like brush like the snow off of him.
Oh, thank you, my dear. Sorry about that. That was very odd. I felt it shake and then I got hit with snow.
Yes, it is odd. I felt it as well. That's not normal, is it?
How much time has passed between the first couple
Moments.
Okay.
It doesn't take Flair very long to get over to the man,
Okay.
so mere minutes, if that.
Okay.
But you see again, like all of the workers have stopped. They all felt it too. And then you hear a couple of people kind of like the very end of the docks. They kind of point, and you hear a few screams go out. A couple of people in the crow's nests on top of the boats kind of are pointing at the same direction.
Where are they pointing?
Towards the water. Everybody roll a perception check.
It's Cthulhu.
Flair got a 19.
Ooh.
Bells got a 13.
Okay. You look back, Flair, as you kind of hear the calling out at the edge of the docks. You see where they're pointing, and you look out to see.
Arthum got a 22.
Damn.
Wraith.
Dirty 20.
Dirty 20.
Okay.
And Bells is also readying a spell.
Okay.
So,
Well,
do you want me to tell you the spell? Or?
sure.
Bells is readying a spell of Holy Weapon.
Okay.
Dope.
The four of you, Bells, you don't see this, but the four of you do. As you look out across the water, you see this dark, black object just below the surface move.
How far out?
About 100 feet. And about...
How far out does the ice go around the area? Is there ice?
There's no like large patches of ice.
Okay.
This area is well cleared and well traveled.
Got it.
So even if there was, it would have been broken up
It's
by
like
now.
been
Yeah.
cleared out. Got it.
No, and a moment later...
How
That-
large is large?
About the size of an orca.
Okay.
A moment later, it breaks the distance in half. And that same shape is now only 60 feet away. Now only about 40 feet from the dock. And now as it gets even closer, you see the edge of the water rise as it seems to be cutting through and rolling over whatever this thing is.
Flair runs back to the group. standing on the docks.
Yeah.
Again,
And she turns to the old man and says, "Run."
Wraith draws
What-
his sword.
a rumble goes out, now closer. And instead of what you thought to be something almost like of the planet itself, now sounds more like a roar, muffled but so loud. As it rumbles out through the waves, you notice now this ripple effect echo out from this black shape as it rises slowly but surely
Ooh, right
on a
then-
progressive...
Bells would cast that
Sure.
Holy Weapon on
Flare.
Flair. Flares. Do you
On
have
the
any
monk.
weapons, or can I just cast that on your fist?
You can literally
can
touch
cast it
his
on me.
hands.
Yeah.
Her hands.
Her,
Sorry.
yeah.
Yes.
Oh
her
yeah,
hands.
just reach out and grab both of your hands, and I cast Holy Weapon on them.
As people are wondering what's going on, questioning it, you get that scene you see in all those silly movies where no one moves when they should. Instead, they're quizzical. It's the human condition. They want to know what's happening, so they stay there. As this shape moves forward, it gets to the very farthest boat, docked about 20 feet off from the dock itself. And as it pushes past it, the boat rises up for a moment and then goes flying. It barrels out from the water, flips around in the air, and crashes. And at that moment, pandemonium.
Wraith will cast protection from evil and good on himself.
Okay?
And I'll say aberrations.
Got it. As this...
Jorg is going to summon several lights from his hand and try to do his best to illuminate the shoreline.
Okay. It's like, yeah, that's fine.
I was imagining it was night, but
it's not night. It's
never mind then.
It's kind of always
is it like
dawn or
late
dusk.
winter afternoon?
It's twilight. It's twilight.
It's twilight.
I'll still do it.
Okay.
I can do it. It's a cantrip.
So as you do it, as you light the coastline here, you now get a slightly better image. As one more ship goes flying, you see this odd, almost claw-like appendage flick out and seemingly crash through the boat as it throws it. And then, as people start to scream and run and move, the ship you were supposed to charter explodes.
No, my ride, bro!
And
Not my whip.
everything changes. As the boat explodes, people go flying. Children and families run. People start dashing away, mad dashing left and right and all over, not knowing where to go or what is happening as everyone starts to scream and run, and the whole scene is so chaotic. You stand there, ready. This is your job. This is what you do. And then something unexpected happens. Something so much worse than you have ever seen before rises from the waters. This beast, larger than the ship it had just destroyed, cuts through the dock like a hot knife through butter, as though it wasn't even there. Pieces of wood go flying. More bodies collect and start floating in the cold water. Stationary, still, no longer living. But this beast reveals itself. It now stands higher than the mast. It stands looming over this, looking around. It's odd. It has a huge girth to its lower body, but it spirals and becomes thin and wiry as it gets to the top. It's hard to look at. You don't know what's coming or going. It has 4 trunk-like legs set on all 4 sides. A large, bulbous eye sits right in the center of what should be its abdomen. And then from that, right above it, a thin, almost emaciated body of a giant kind of flops back and forth, almost loose and wet, as 4 large, clawed arms protrude out in different directions. Its head, now shearing the water off, is bent over on an oddly crooked neck. You see the shine of eyes beneath a head of stringy, wet black hair. Its sharp, toothed maw from its smaller head juts out below. The rest of its body is molted, its skin almost rotted, covered in a fur or sores. It's hard to tell as it's covered in water still. Then from out of the base, next to the mouth, 4 tentacles find their way out of the main stalk. As this creature rises above you, a mouth as wide as the trunk opens right below the eye, and that same roar you heard from underneath the water echoes out. And that's where we're gonna leave it for now.
What the fuck?
Oh, we don't even get to roll initiative.
God damn it. Fuck that.
Hello, everyone. Matt here, and I would just like to say thank you for listening to this episode of the Swordcast Adventures. If you want to further inquire about our work, you can visit our website at swordcastadventures.com. There you can find links to all our social media, like Twitter and Facebook, as well as a link to our Twitch page and our Patreon, where you can listen to myself, Dungeon Master the Tomb of Annihilation, for some of the cast members, and my beautiful wife, Emily. Any support you could give us would be much appreciated, and we would be truly grateful. Until next time, friends, may adventure live on in your heart.